now, what does the future hold for the New York Jets in regards to Corey Davis and the whole wide receiver room and how they're going to approach this? Because let me tell you, we were all feeling really, really good about the depth of the wide receiver room going into the season, but now there's just a million question marks, to be perfectly frank with you. We've got Corey Davis coming off of a down season and now an
injury-marred
season. Denzel Mims, this is his big opportunity right now. He has to step up right now. Denzel Mims has to take advantage of this opportunity. I'm not celebrating Corey Davis getting hurt, but perhaps this could be a good situation for Mims. Now he's going to be playing quite a few reps now to end this season. I'm hopeful that he can make some noise, but as of right now, there's no way that you can say to me that that Denzel Mims is not a question mark. Elijah Moore, stud, bona fide guy. I think that he's one of those dudes that can absolutely be a number one, a la an Antonio Brown. He's got that kind of speed, that wiggle, and route running ability. So I'm very, very optimistic about Elijah Moore. He's the one guy that you can point to and say, we got that one right. Braxton Berrios is set to be a free agent, I believe. Jamison Crowder, Keelan Cole. These are all guys, nearing the ends of their contracts. So what are we going to do? What is Joe Douglas going to do in regards to this room? And again, I think that the word that I'm going to continue to say is flexibility. We have 2 first-round picks. We have 2 second-round. We had some music playing. What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome into NYJ today. It is a Sunday evening episode, post-game show here with Chad. I got Mike. We got the gang together. That's basically what we're looking at here. A little episode of Always Sunny right here right on your phone or wherever you're watching us. And thank you for joining us. If you're here, please hit the like button. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. If you're just tuning in, all is well. We're glad to have you here. Well, before we get to the comments, Mike, how you feeling, buddy?
You smell that? That's the smell of Jets doing Jets, baby. It's good to be here. I haven't been back. I haven't been here in a little bit, so it's good to see you guys, Chad, John, and of course with the NYJ community. I was just talking to the guys about this. It's probably bad that I don't feel more emotional about it, but I kind of am just like, Jets lost today. What's on the Food Network? What's playing on HGTV? Bobby Flay cooking up something? I mean, I kind of am at the point where, we're in the holiday season, and for me, I'm traveling around and seeing family. I'm just kind of like, yeah, Jets. Nothing really for me. There's a lot of negative and a lot to talk about in terms of draft, but yeah, I'm a little bit numb right now. I'm a little bit numb. I'm not gonna lie.
I think everybody's gonna be feeling the same way. Chad, how are you doing this fine evening?
I think a comfortable numbness, a comfortable Pink Floyd-esque.
Oh, I like that.
Numbness.
That was sweet.
I think
good stuff.
I think that's a component of being a Jet fan. When Taysom Hill was running in that second touchdown today, I was like, oh my God, I had to wrap all my Christmas gifts. I was like, okay. I was like, wow, he sure does look good running that ball. I got to wrap my Christmas gifts.
Jeez. Oh, man. So we'll get right to the comments right now. And it is, again, we're very, very happy to be with you all. We have to start with the show with this, though. Mike was right. N.A. Sewell was the pick.
I told all of you.
And if you're not familiar with that, leading up to the draft, actually it was like early on in the channel, we did like a very, very premature mock draft, and Mike had us taking Penei Sewell, and he caught super heat for it. And perhaps it's a little bit, hindsight's 2020. But it is kind of funny to think about, what would things be like if we had drafted Penei Sewell or any other player, because we had, our pick of the entire litter aside from Trevor Lawrence. We're not going to get into whether or not we actually should have drafted him. I think Grant Reed's mostly kidding there. Rick Fisher. This is a great way to start the show. He says, after today, Mims is a goner. And we do have not a mailbag, but we do have, a comment from Twitter here that I'm going to try to pull up real fast. Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. Nope. Yep, there it is. We need to draft a wide receiver in round 1, according to Brendan, who is a person who participates in the channel. I apologize. And he's saying we got to go wide receiver early in the draft, this upcoming draft. I'm going to set the table for both of you. First of all, I don't think it's outrageous. And I laid it out in the preview of the episode. Mims, whatever you want to say, he's a question mark. Jamison Crowder is set to be a free agent. Keelan Cole set to be a free agent. Braxton Berrios set to be a free agent. You can re-sign some of those guys, but the room is not stable in my mind. So we'll start the show with you, Mikey, and then we'll go to Chad. What are your thoughts on wide receiver early? What's your thoughts on Mims being a goner? Go for it.
Yeah, no. Let me break that down.
Take your time,
I will answer. Yeah, let me go at my pace.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna channel Chad, who I can feel his spirit in me, which is I think offensive line has to be first. I know early is relative. Early is relative. It's a relative thing. No way, man. Did you not watch the game? Offensive line has to go first. I think I better see at least one lineman go ahead of a wide receiver. I'm just gonna say that because here's the question. Here's the other part. I was gonna flip back to you guys. Our wide receiver core isn't great, but could they be better if our stability at quarterback, and I emphasize stability. I'm not saying our talent. I'm saying our stability and consistency at quarterback was better. I don't know. That's my real answer, and that's so stupid because I think a lot of us can say that, but I don't know on any given day whether it's totally our receiver core individually or collectively, or whether it's just we just don't have a lot of stability at quarterback while we get our sea legs there. So I would just say before I continue, I mean, yeah, do I think some of the talent should be re-signed? I think there's talent there that maybe they just didn't have the best. They weren't put in the best position to be successful. Do I think some of them need to go? Yeah, and for me, Mims, between the penalties and the missed opportunities, I'm kind of done there. I'm not gonna lie. Corey Davis to me, going out, and then I watched him in Philly. Okay, and I've seen it. I saw it on the field. Chad, you've been at games. John, you've been at games. So I don't, I can't remember what Corey's contract is, but should some of them should not return? Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think our wide receiver core is bad enough for me to draft it over our offensive lineman. I'll just leave it at that.
I like that take, and that's fine. Chad, what are your thoughts on the wide receiver room, potentially taking one round 1? I know you want O-line in the first round, but you can go ahead and answer it.
Well, I mean, unless a wide receiver is going to stop the outside run, or unless a wide receiver is going to stop a screen that I'm seeing every week, then no, I don't want it. Listen, I'm all in favor of getting a wide receiver. I think at number 2 you do that tops. Things are actually looking good from a draft perspective right now. The stock on Aiden Hutchinson keeps rising and rising, which means Kayvon Thibodeau is going to fall to us, or the guy from the safety from Notre Dame is going to fall to us. We're going to get, or we could get that tight end that everybody wants. But the thing is that we're going to get Kayvon Thibodeau, we're going to get Evan Neal, we're going to get potentially Aiden Hutchinson, or we're going to get Tyler Linderbaum. That's all going to happen with the first 2 picks. Then you get your wide receiver. Okay. I'm all about wide receiver taking one round 2 and afterward. I just can't do it with the first 2 picks. I need guys who are going to be on the interior, with the exception of possibly Hamilton, changing this game. I know it's critical, but I just can't go wide receiver with round 1 at this point.
Okay. And there's not too much of a not much of a clear answer from the chat as of right now. Rodrigo says, why not? Just get wild and let's go after a wide receiver. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say I'm okay with them going wide receiver in round 1, but it would probably need to be after a trade back with one of those picks. I'm definitely not taking a wide receiver in the top 5. And right now, I believe we're projected for the 4th and the 7th pick. That could be not 100% correct. But I am more of in the frame of mind that I would like to get a defensive player. I would like to get an edge. I would like to get a linebacker. And again, I think a lot of people focus on those 2 first-round picks and don't realize we have another 2 second-round picks as well. So, if one person says, let's go get offensive line and edge in round 1, it's not like impossible to go find a wide receiver or a tight end or a linebacker or a safety and all the other million friggin' holes that we have. So personally, I think it's got to be one of those situations where Joe Douglas just has to be flexible and, take what is available and the best player available, because again, we have too many holes to be worried about, plugging up one hole specifically, even if maybe the match, the match is not there. All right, let's see. Seattle's pick. He wants to trade the Seattle pick, and honestly, that's what I'm thinking too. I would rather trade their pick, their first-round pick, get some more draft picks, maybe some players as well. That could be a potential thing, like they move back and get players and picks. And then keep our pick for that premium edge player that we really need on defense. We didn't really get after Taysom Hill. I know he didn't throw it a ton today. And let me just see if I can pull up the numbers real fast, because I did pull it up. Taysom Hill threw it only 21 times today, but he was an efficient 21. He completed 15 of his passes, 175 yards. No touchdown passes, no interceptions. We're just not impacting the quarterback, not nearly enough to be able to create turnovers, which again is another huge problem on this defense. We're not creating turnovers at all. All right, let's get to another thing that really grinds my gears here. And guys in the chat, I would really like to hear from you guys with this one. So this was a quote from Saleh after the game. It's from Connor Hughes. I promise you they'll be better next week. On the young players, that's who he's referring to. I want to hear what your thoughts are, Chad. You're going to go first this time. What are your thoughts on Saleh saying that? Do you believe that? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'll be down at the game down in Miami, so I'm hoping to God they're going to be better. I don't know, man. I saw, how many drops did Ty Johnson have? 3?
He had 3 in the first quarter. Yeah.
Okay. And then, I'm not pointing any fingers here, but once after you said we have a star wide receiver in Elijah Moore, then he goes out on IR for the next 3 weeks. So he's going to miss the game. I'm joking, but you could just tell how badly Elijah Moore was missed in this offense. As far as the young guys playing better, I don't know. I don't put a lot of stock into coach speak after games. I'm going to need to see it to make it happen. Maybe if Zach can stop. I think if you're looping Zach in with the young guys, then yeah, but there's no guarantee. I know we're going to get to the Zach talk later, but there's no guarantee that Zach is going to get any more consistent going into next week either.
Yeah, and I think, Rick Fisher's got a good comment here. He says, what is Saleh supposed to say? Saying something negative could be counterproductive. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that he should say something negative, but I'm not sure what he said is necessary. And I'll get into that. Mike, what are your thoughts on this idea of we're going to be better next week? The young players will be better, I promise.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with Rick in terms of, we know Robert's a player's coach. He believes in his players. He believes that even on your bad day, it's better to look at the silver lining, the glass half full. I don't know. I guess I kind of like that. If anyone was to get to know me, I'm a glass half full type of guy. However, I know that there's a big part of the fan base out there that really wants someone to be real with them, and someone to. It's kind of like that thing where, if you're in a relationship, at times you don't want someone to tell you how it's going to be better. You just want someone to tell you, yeah, it sucks. This is kind of like that moment, I think, where I'll speak on behalf of my dad and the other New York Jets fans who were in the crowd next to me at the Philly game, where no one wants to hear how this was better, this was good about the game. People just want to hear you say, yeah, the team sucked today, and it sucks for us as well. And they're not getting that. And I don't know why Robert and the media team and the front office don't realize that. They're very smart people, and I think they need to be real. I guess, at the same time they're trying to defend the players, but I think that's what some of the fan base needs to hear right now, is that we're not crazy for feeling like this season is a disappointment.
Yeah, none of you are wrong. You're all making sense. The only thing I'm going to throw in there is I just don't really like the idea of him talking about what they're going to be. Just do it, and just don't use your words to talk about what it's going to be like. Just show us. If it's going to be better next week, don't say anything. If somebody's asking you, like, how are you going to turn this around next week? And he's like, I promise you it's going to be better. I feel like the safer thing to say, or the better thing to say, would be, you know what? There's nothing guaranteed. These guys are going to have to work their asses off this week to really make improvements and strides. And kind of like what Grant was saying just a few moments ago, these guys are grown men. That's what Robert Saleh says all the time. They're not porcelain dolls. There's no harm in saying our guys need to do better. They need to step up. It wasn't just Ty Johnson there were 1 million people that joined the drop party today. Keelan Cole dropped a pass. We've got, Zach Wilson, he's spraying balls all over the place. Low, high. I mean, the balls are going every freaking direction.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I like you laughing. It makes me feel a little better. It feels like I'm not just crazy. But anyway, like, there are problems with what's going on. Like, you can't just say, oh yeah, I promise you it's going to be better. So in the end, is it a big deal that he said it? No, of course not. It just kind of irks me because I'd rather you prove it and just do it rather than talk about doing it. That's just my stance on that in general. So
can we get into Zach for a minute?
We are 100% going there right now. So don't you worry, my friend. It looks like Mike maybe got dropped. Yeah, he sure did.
Mike turned into a Christmas tree.
Yeah. We'll get him back. No worries. Let me pull up this Zach Wilson. Oh, there's Mike. Hey, Mike, you're back, buddy.
Sorry, I was adjusting my headset and I think I clicked the end call. I'm sorry.
It's really okay. I got you back here. You're just a little bit. Yeah, that's perfect. You're good. So we're going to talk about Zachy Boy, and I'm going to make sure I get the right one. So we're going to start with this tweet. He says, team around him sucked today. And we'll start with that. Mike's going to go first. Was what we saw out of Zach Wilson more a product of what was around him? Is it a shared, we suck today? Or is it predominantly on Zach Wilson for the struggles of the offense? So it's like the scale here. There's a low end, there's a middle, and then there's the high end, which would be Zach's not doing so good. What is your take on the situation here right now?
I think what this is showing me, and here's me being a real jerk, being glass half full time guy. To me, what this has showed is that you really can't compare. It's hard to compare draft classes, because Trevor threw 4 picks today. If anyone was watching the Jags game, he had a horrible day today.
Terrible.
And to me, what I'm is are either one of them, Zach or Trevor, living up to their potential? No, not currently. Is that all on the rest of the team? No, it's part of it's on them. And let me just focus this back on Zach. This is another Jags channel. Zach is
You're good. You're making connections. I like it. You're making connections, baby. Keep going.
I'm like a choo-choo train, baby. I'm starting to roll now. Zach isn't having a great season. I think he would say that. Do I think it's somewhat a number of different things for him? It's overwhelming. It's first season, coming off of somewhat of a serious injury. Obviously now on the heels of the White Lightning game, where there was pressures on whether he was going to be the starter, and then the team going out and get Joe Flacco right before that. It's been a really volatile last probably 8 weeks for Zach Wilson. That's obviously most of the season, but let's just take it for what it is. So yeah, I do think as much as he's not doing himself any favors, I do think if I was in Zach's shoes and I think about the last 4 to 8 weeks of activity, that's a lot of emotions to go through. Now the rest of the team isn't doing him any favors. That's for darn sure. Between the offensive line basically saying, hey, if you want to have a free shot at Zach, go right ahead at some moments of the game. To wide receivers obviously not knowing their routes, to the team not having a tight end. And I want, I'll shout out Michelle, the queen of NYJ today. There is no tight end, although lately Griffin seems to be somewhat relevant. At least he had a couple big plays in today's game. But there hasn't been a tight end for most of the season. So I don't know, man. I think at times some of our offense has totally ghost positions out there, and there's Zach has literally 2 people to throw to rather than Tom Brady has 6 people or 5 people to throw to. So yeah, long story short, is it a collective? Yeah. I'm not making excuses for where I think Zach would say is him not playing well this season. But the team's not doing him any favors. So to me, it's a bummer because I really wanted to see Zach go off like that one game against Tennessee. It just didn't happen this year, but I don't think my hopes really aren't that diminished for Zach for me for next season. So
okay, so you're right in the middle there. Before we get to Chad's take here, Jets NY 101, thank you for the super chat. He says, still can't cover a screen pass. I'll wait. Yeah, I mean, it's the same stuff too. That it was that like tight end screen, right? Or like just like that little boot, and then the linemen roll out, and then the tight end's just right there, sitting there. We're still struggling very poorly on defense. Over 200 rushing yards as well to boot. I do think it's fair to criticize, Jeff Ulbrich. I made a video on it. I'm not prepared to move on from him, but there's definitely some concern because he's not getting the most out of these guys. You've seen in the NFL before that, good coaches can get the best out of guys that are on the depth chart, like the backups. After injuries take place, the next guy, he moves in to the lineup, to the spotlight, and they can produce. So the fact that that's not really happening right now, I think it's fair to point out that it is a concern. All right, sorry to interrupt. Chad, you're going to go next. Do you put it mostly on the team, the collective team, for these struggles? Are you in the middle here with regards to the supporting cast and Zach Wilson, or are you now starting to feel a little bit more like, hey, this is a concern for Zach?
I'm in the middle, but I'm starting as the weeks go on and the inconsistencies continue with Zach. I'm starting to be more and more leaning towards the side of it being on Zach. And I mean, the reason why is you mentioned this earlier, like the balls that he's throwing are just, I mean, they're in front of the receivers, they're behind the receivers, they're over the receivers. There are
They're
some
low
cases
too.
where
Low
they're
too.
low. He's still doing he's hitting dirt. Then there's some cases too where he's just putting way too much mustard on the ball. I don't know if it's a anxiety or nervous thing, or if that's just what's always worked for him. But he just is slinging. He's out there in cases where you really need a lob. He's out there throwing fastballs.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the guys they're just not ready for it. They've got he's just I mean he's got a rocket arm. There's no question about that. But he's just letting it go. I mean he's firing that ball in situations where it's unnecessary. Um, and I think when you combine that with the lack of talent. I mean, look, if Michael Carter was out there, he would have caught those balls that were going to Ty Johnson, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is that good wide receivers make up for mediocre quarterbacks, and great quarterbacks make up for mediocre wide receivers. But the problem is, we have right now, at least, we've got both out there. So it's hard to say. But right now, man, it's hard to not be concerned with this inconsistency that we're seeing from Zach. It's just this odd inconsistency. It's not the decision making, it's the execution.
Yes.
It's just he's not I don't know how to say it. With Sam, it was the decision making. So it's not like he's not making bad spots. He's not really making bad reads. He's just executing in a bad way, and you wonder if that can get fixed at all. Is it going to take an off season? I don't know.
But if I had to pick between the two, having lived through quarterbacks who have been in one or both of those buckets, execution and or decision making, I'd rather have, especially knowing it's my quarterback's rookie season, I'd rather have execution, because that to me tells me jitters. You have bad decision making, like Sam, like Mark Sanchez after the AFC Championship seasons. That's awful to watch. I'd rather watch a quarterback with the hopes that it's, especially knowing that it looks at times that he's 14 years old, that it's him just needing maturity than a quarterback coming in with fundamental problems with his decision making on the field. I mean, a lot of people will go out and say Josh Allen, and my take on that was Josh Allen's decision making in his rookie season was bad, and he bounced out of it. But I mean, we've seen too many quarterbacks who just can't develop that right field command and really being able to make the right decision in the blink of an eye. I just, to me, if I had to pick between which camp I want him to have problems in, I'd rather have execution, especially knowing it's his first season.
I mean, if you look at his picks, it's not really picks where he's lobbing it up and throwing and saying a prayer. He's trying to fit it into a window that's not really there. I mean, which you can argue that that's a decision-making thing right there. But at least in his mind, the read is there. He's just trying to fit it into a window that he has really no business fitting it into.
All right. Well, I'm going to get right to it. I am concerned, and I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm not in the middle. I'm not in complete panic mode with Zach. I am not giving up on him yet. We've seen quarterbacks turn it around. They need time to develop. But the inaccuracy thing, I would actually argue, is harder to coach out of a player than the decision-making, the reading of a defense. So I don't want to go on it too long, but basically Zach's inaccuracy has me really, really concerned. He is peppering the ball all over the place. We already talked about it. And it just seems like it's all in his head right now. And I don't know if it's the yips. I don't know if it's him trying to, be a robot out there and like trying to make sure his mechanics are good. So like he's just kind of like, his body's just going crazy. I have no clue, excuse me. And I'm not going to make excuses for him because it's just not good enough right now. He has to play better than this. And I'm worried. The short story, I'm concerned because even if you have Elijah Moore out there, and that is a big help, even if you have Corey Davis out there, that is also a big help. we've seen the offense struggle with those players on the field at times. And I think a lot of that does have to do with the inaccuracy of these passes. They're a lot of times they're behind. When we complete passes, they are thrown behind the receiver. There's not a lot of opportunity for these guys to catch it and go. And yeah, I'll end it right there. That's where I'm at right now. I am definitely concerned about Zach's inaccuracies. It has me worried.
But John, would you be saying that? I guess were we saying that after year one with Sam? I guess here's my thing, and I'm not minimizing the cumulative buildup of pain and just lack of patience. Just for a fan for this franchise, it's hard for a fan, either myself, to kind of say, oh, each quarterback should get a fresh slate and get another 4 years, just like Sam did. I'm not saying as a fan base, because I'm not telling myself that I can do that, where I'm going to say each person, each quarterback, each player needs 4 years to develop. It should not be compared to the last generation. But I don't remember. I don't know. I listen, because I haven't gone back and watched Sam's for rookie season clips, but I don't know. I don't think I've saw the same level of concern and frustration in the media, not just here in the NYJ Today community, but just in general. As well, I don't remember Sam getting that same amount of pressure that Zach is getting, and I'd just be curious to see what your input, or Chad, your input on that.
Yeah, Chad, where are you at with the thought that maybe they how much time, basically? Like, what is the appropriate amount of time?
I think Sam got a longer leash somehow because he was a consensus number one at least a year going into the draft, and then he randomly dropped to number 3, whereas Zach was until the BYU bowl game, Zach was discussed as a second rounder, if not further down the draft, and then he skyrocketed throughout the draft process, which I think makes a lot of people question the Jets' decision to even draft him that high. I think that's where it comes from. Plus, again, as the years go on and the time piles on, we now have 11 seasons. We have 11 seasons now, the longest playoff drought in the NFL. It makes fans scrutinize everything even longer. 11 seasons, guys, and let's face it, in all likelihood, unless there's a drastic change, we're looking at a dozen seasons without being to the playoffs, right? I mean, that makes everybody. I mean, everybody gets scrutinized even harder. You know what I mean? I mean, we're talking about are we giving up on Salah? Are we giving up on the GM? Are we giving up on Zach? We all hate the owner. It's like, I think it's just a combination of things, guys.
Yep. So it's Snoopy. I want to make sure, maybe you're talking about the people in the chat. I'm not giving up or tossing Zach Wilson after 8 games. And you're right. It's not enough time to have a final and firm answer. And I think that we all are saying that. But as a fan base and as a person that's been watching football for a long time, me personally, and maybe you as well, I don't see how you can't be just a little bit concerned. Again, how can you not be worried about the fact that the ball is going all over the place? Accuracy is one of the hardest things to coach out of a player at the quarterback spot. That's not one of those things that just dramatically gets better, through coaching. It can improve, definitely. So that's why I'm not ready to give up on him. But I can't sit here and lie to you. It's concerning. The decision making, we already kind of said he's not making horrible decisions, so that's good. Clearly, he's got a mind for the game. Will he be able to square up and straighten out his mechanics in the off season? Because right now, I think he needs that, and I think that a lot of what we've seen from him, especially in this game, with the ball just kind of being all over the place, I think that's something that you have to be concerned about And it does, just because you're concerned does not mean that you are out on him. So just want to make sure that I point that out. Edward Stewart kind of agrees. He has a lot to improve on. And I think that's fair. I think there's nothing wrong with saying that. Let's see. Grant Rue with some criticism. He says, I've given up on the entire coaching staff until Zach's benched. There is no doubt in my mind starting Zach is the wrong decision. The only problem is who you're putting in there. I guess you're suggesting Mike White go back out there. I think that the fact that he's already played games, I don't know if we can possibly bench him at this point. Should he be starting? It's pretty obvious that he should not have been from the beginning. They should have had a better plan in place for him to sit, a la the San Francisco 49ers. They had a plan. They said, this kid's not playing. He's not ready to play. Not in our team, not on our offense. And I think that's why a lot of us wanted a veteran quarterback, because if this situation came up during the offseason, mini camps, OTAs, training camp, and the coaches get together and they're like, guys, he's just not ready. That's okay. That would have been okay. That would have been an okay situation.
Yep.
And so, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
My bad. No, finish your thought.
I was done. Just talk. Don't piss me off. Don't piss me off further, buddy.
I tell you though, John, that would have been okay in like week 1, but the first pick 6 from Mike White, or the first, shoulder shrug from Joe Flacco or whoever, and we would have been screaming to have Zach get in there. It would have been a whole other controversy.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And that's one of those things where that's why they pay these coaches and these guys so much money, is because they have to handle that pressure from the fan base, that pressure from the media, whoever it may be. They have to be the adults in the room, if you will. And they have to make the best decision for the team, short-term, long-term. And again, I don't see how you can look at what Zach's been doing, as inconsistent as it's been, even though there's been good. How can you sit here and say that he was ready? I don't think he is. Mechanically, learning the offense, all of this stuff. So,
yeah.
Again, I'm not bashing the kid. I'm just trying to say there's clearly something amiss. All right, go ahead, Mike.
No, I'll make it shoot. I just was going to say that's in me. People have different opinions on Jody's moves, for better or for worse. I think the one thing that's, to me, unanimous is it never made a lot of sense going into the season without a veteran quarterback. We came into the season with Zach Wilson, Mike White,
and Josh Johnson.
Can anyone tell me how, and then kept that after Becton got hurt, where we knew our line was going to get blown up? I don't know how. I think that if I had to be tough on Jody, or the entire front office, because I don't think it's all necessary on Jody, although he's the face of it. Because I wanted Nick Foles in the offseason. I was a big Nick Foles fan. I for better or for worse, I wanted to have someone in there who could be, Zach's big brother, so to speak, just for learning purposes. And anyone could back me up. I go back and look at the early NYJ Today streams on that. It never made a lot of sense why we came into the season not only putting Zach in as a starter, which I was okay with, but saying I'll put all my eggs. And not only is he going to start, not only is he going to be good enough to keep the starting, but he's not going to get hurt. How do we put all our eggs in those three things happening? That to me still doesn't make a lot of sense.
And I think it's fair to criticize that. And that's why they caught a lot of heat for the Flacco move mid-season. It felt desperate. I don't know. We won't go back down that rabbit hole, but you're not wrong, Mike. It does seem perplexing that they just didn't have a literal backup plan. And again, I still think that the scenario could have been Zach's our guy, but he's going to have to win the job outright. He's got to earn it. And there was never that situation. He was the quarterback from day one. He never had to compete for it. So, I don't know. Rodrigo Costa, he says, if anyone is playing besides Zach, it's Josh Johnson, honestly. Honestly, it might be Flacco. Although I do like what I've seen from Josh Johnson when he's played. He's been pretty good. Can't really knock Josh Johnson when he's been in there. All right,
Yeah.
let's see.
And Mac doing so well doesn't help the situation either. Because that just is like salt in the wound.
And I think this is what I was getting at. Edward Stewart says, you let Zach finish and you learn at this point. Nothing to lose at this point. And you're right. That's kind of why you won't see him get benched, is because he's already out there. You're not going to pull the rug out from under him. If you were going to make that call, you should have made it maybe when he got hurt. Could have shut him down for the year. You could have made that decision before the season began. Straight 100, he says, I disagree. Zach needs the reps, and I think most people agree with that. I don't know if the reps are helping him. That's one thing I will say. Why don't we talk about that? Chad, what are your thoughts on, are these actual meaningful reps for Zach? Of course they're meaningful because he's getting mental reps along with the physical ones, but personally, his physical stuff is all out of whack, and that's kind of my concern, is that he's compounding the problem here. It would be like a teacher giving the same math problem to a student over and over again. They continuously struggle with it. They're going to melt down, or they're going to get frustrated. So what do you think?
Yeah, I know they brought in John Beck, and I know they're trying to give him this coaching and training in the season. I do think the reps are important. I just don't want him to sort of develop into bad habits that he may already be doing. If that's the case, I also don't want to create a narrative this late in the season that the front office and the coaches have lost faith in him, because once that happens, the fans will pile on and it'll be this whole thing. So from that perspective, I think it's right to start him for what do we have? 4 games left?
Mm-hmm. Four more.
Okay. I mean, from that perspective, as long as it's safe, I think it's best to start him for the rest of the year.
Yep. We have Miami next. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars after that. And then we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then we end the season with the Buffalo Bills. I think we're lucky if we win a game, personally. I think we're going to go at best 1-3 and potentially 0-4, which would put us at best case scenario 4-13, with the good chance of being 3-14. Still trying to work on that math. So yeah, we're going to be picking in the top 5. I don't think there's any question. All right, so there's some comments here. Jets NY 101, he says Zach will be fine. It comes down to adjusting and adapting to the speed of the game. Accuracy has not been a problem for him in college. It wasn't. That is true. In my opinion, it wasn't an issue. He threw into some really tight windows. He also threw into some pretty wide open windows, but when the tight windows were there, he was making the throws. That was one of the discussions and reasons why I liked him so much as a quarterback. Once the NFL game clicks, he will be a top-tier quarterback. NY Jets, Florida. And we agree with you 100%. Every person on this panel agrees with this. Every rookie quarterback struggles. It is so rare, the Justin Herberts, even the Baker Mayfields, technically, his first year, he was awesome. Those situations are so very rare. Even Pat Mahomes, technically in his first year starting, he exploded. It's just not, it doesn't happen very much. So in general, yes, we agree with you. The story has not been told, and that's why I'm not sitting here telling you I'm out on Zach. We're just concerned. I think that's the short way of saying it. Oh, let's see. Straight 100 Jets, by the way, thanks for subscribing, buddy. I know we talked a little bit on Twitter. It's good to have you here with us tonight. He said, everybody outside of Mac Jones, and that's only because of what team and coach he plays for, is struggling. If he struggles by this time next year, then it's time to panic. But for now, he needs to play. And he's referring to Zach Wilson, of course, and Mac Jones. Mac Jones had the table set for him perfectly. And I'm sure that tickles you all kinds of ways, Mike, wouldn't you say? That he's just loving life in New England and having a great old time.
He's hit the lottery. He hit the lottery ticket. That's what he did.
Truly, I think he did. Yeah, they did a great job, and the coaching staff there is obviously fantastic. So that's a big reason why he's having so much success. All right, let's see if we can get some more comments, and then maybe we'll start to talk about this next game versus the Miami Dolphins. Let's see. NY Jets, Florida, 4 long, painful games left, which means we only have 4 more post-game shows, and then we will be probably switching back to our Wednesday show, I'm pretty sure. We'll do our Wednesday night streams instead of the Sunday streams. So in a way, that's kind of cool because we can start to talk off season. I'm kind of looking forward to it personally. I'm very exhausted by the negative of the season. It's hard to do this for such a long period of time and only really have a lot of negative. So let's see. Grant Rude throws in a comment. He says Murray, Jackson, Burrow, Mayfield, Mahomes, Russ Wilson, Prescott, Rodgers. I think he's throwing out guys that basically came in and started right away and did good. Yes, that's a pretty good list you came up with there for sure. Although Stafford struggled, I'm pretty sure. Maybe you're saying something else, though. Maybe I'm misreading you. I do apologize. All right, we got another super chat from NY101. He says, hate to break it, but New England is going to be in the Super Bowl. He's saying it may happen. Let's swallow that poison pill. Thanks for that one, NY Jets 101. Just kidding, by the way. Mike, your favorite team, the New England Patriots. What do you think about that? Any thoughts on them appearing in the Super Bowl for the 8 billionth time in our lifetime?
It's another year, man. I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, we should be very much accustomed to this. Why is that such a hard pill for us to swallow? I mean, the only thing I would say that's disappointing about that is I was hoping to see someone else dominate our division for the next 20 years, like the Bills. But hey, if it's got to be the Patriots for another
so be it.
And we'll just do it.
Oh, Chad, thoughts on New England potentially hitting the Super Bowl again?
I mean, go Chiefs. That's all I can say. Try to stop them, but I mean, the Chiefs look like they're getting hot again. I'll take anybody.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'll take anybody else. I can't, man. I just can't.
Yeah, it's nauseating for real. All joking aside, all laughing aside, all smiling aside. I mean, I was 16 years old when Tom Brady took the helm, and it's been this way for years. And I know that Tom Brady's not in New England anymore, but the winning that the Patriots have been enjoying has been forever, since literally my freaking childhood, my teenage years. So no, I'm not at all keen on that idea, but you're probably not wrong. New England, other than Kansas City right now, because Baltimore's looking a little shaky. They've had a shit ton of injuries in Baltimore.
Lamar got hurt today.
Yeah, Lamar, their defense is getting hurt. Their running backs were hurt early in the season. I will say this, Kansas City's defense gives me some hope. They are playing their balls off on defense in Kansas City right now. They are creating a shit ton of turnovers and just making big plays on defense. So if the offense for the Chiefs can get moving and grooving, maybe they got a shot versus New England. But right now it's running through the Gillette Stadium. Like, that's where the home field advantage is going to be. And they're going to have a bye and all that other garbage. I mean, things could change, but man, is it frustrating. So Burnt Dice says New England Bucks was the goal from the start. Belly versus Brady, media dream. I think a lot of people would be very entertained to watch that. I don't know. I don't want to watch that. I don't want either one of those. I don't want either one of those teams in the Super Bowl.
I don't want to watch that.
I do not. No, thank you, because neither one's a win for us. All right, Rodrigo said Chad is trying to be chill with these Patriots Super Bowl predictions. I think what Chad is trying to do is not have to think about it. He doesn't want to have that thought come into his mind. All right. Let's see. Jets have no tight ends or wide receiver. And we are expecting Zach to win with bums. His BYU team was better than the Jets. Well, not exactly. I mean, we all are I think you're high on Elijah Moore as well. But I do hear what you're saying. The tight end room's terrible. So, I mean, I don't know. I think he has wide receivers. I think that, again, if you watch the game, I know there were a ton of drops. So don't get it screwed up or twisted. I know that the drops hurt him. But even when you account for those, he was still just, it was no consistency with his ball placement today. So that's where I have a problem. That's why it's somewhere in the middle, because our team did let him down. But he also let us down too, in my opinion. And that's how I see it. The nightmare only ends when Bill Belichick retires, a.k.a. never. I feel like he might die on a football field. Like, that is where he's going to end his life coaching on the sidelines. Like, he literally will do it until he is dead. That's what it feels like. Oh, God. Jason Rhodes, good to see you. He says, poor John hasn't suffered near as long as a Jets fan as some of us. No, not as long as some, but a pretty long time. Certainly not as long as you, my friend. There's a lot of guys and gals out there that have been rooting for this team for longer than me. All right. Grant Rude says that Moore is great. Davis is solid. Griffin is semi-serviceable. Michael Carter is solid. Zach has more than enough to work with. And yeah, and again, the offensive line has not been as bad as people say. I know Mike was kind of just talking about how bad it's been. I know Chad wants the offensive line. Fan has been pretty good this year. George Fan has been really solid on the left side. Morgan Moses has been serviceable for sure on the right side. Laurent Duvernay Tardif, I think I'm still saying that name wrong. He's been solid too at right guard once we picked him up. Connor McGovern's having a good season. Elijah Vera Tucker's been having a pretty good season, obviously. So, I don't know, man. I think that I kind of agree with that. I think that there are players around him. Certainly he needs better players around him. That's not good enough to win a Super Bowl, even if he was playing good. Or better, I should say. All right, let's see. Jets lead the league in drops, so they ain't that great. Hey, listen, you're fair. It's fair about that, but they probably added about 10 drops in just this one game. All right, let's see. Chargers-Rams Super Bowl would be awesome on so many levels. There's a lot of really good potential matchups. Again, I just will be sick if it's a Bucs-Patriots Super Bowl. That would really suck. All right, let's see. Jets NY 101. He says, all I want is just to have a whole season where we are in the hunt. Tired of our season being over by Halloween. And in this case, it's Christmas. And because of the extended season, it's going to be a little bit later these days. All right. Just trying to make sure I get caught up here. All right. Belichick has still never and never will be forgiven for the Jets for Spygate. Let's see. We'll go here now because we haven't talked about Becton in a while, and I am concerned with him as well. I have a lot of concerns these days. I'm going to be anxious for the remainder of this season just because there's just a lot going on right now. Denzel Mims, Zach Wilson. So Edward Stewart says definitely Becton will have to be watched going forward next season. Chad, we'll go with you first, and then Mike, you can go. Where are we at? I know, Chad, you said you were concerned last week. There are now, reports that they don't even know if he's going to be back this season after diagnosing him with a 4 to 8 week recovery. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was really hard on Becton last week. I actually felt pretty guilty about that. I did, man, because you know how he's active on Twitter and his mom's on Twitter and stuff. I was afraid somebody was going to send him that. But no, look, I don't think he's even if he can play the last game of the year, I don't think he should. he's not going to be in any way close to football shape. So I think you got to sit him down officially for the rest of the year, have him go through a full off season, and bring him back. But that being said, I think you still have to draft a potential replacement. I don't like it, but I think that's what you have to do, because I don't think, and I said this last week, I'll say it again, I don't think we've yet to see any indication that he can be a long-term starter in this league. Sorry.
No, you're good. If Madden is a good indicator of real football, which it isn't, I've been playing my Jets franchise, and it's almost laughable how often he's hurt in my game. He gets hurt. I'm not kidding you. Every game, it's like bruised sternum, out for the game. Broken finger, out for 2 weeks. Like, he is hurt every freaking time. So, all joking aside, Mike, what are your thoughts on Becton? Are you starting to get a little worried here?
Yeah, I am, and I think I would feel more charged up about it if we had a winning season and it tanked because of his injury. But because we were kind of tanking already, well, it was so early in the season, I shouldn't say that, but just because it was a lot of things where I didn't have high expectations, I guess it somewhat numbs my concern a bit. But I agree with what you're saying, what Chad's saying. I don't know. I think the fuse has been lit, and we'll just have to see how it progresses, particularly in the off season. What was the response you got when you posted on social media? What kind of response did you get?
Oh, the Becton one?
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I would almost say it's probably like 60, maybe even 70% people are concerned.
Yeah.
So 30 to 40 are not concerned. Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of concern amongst fans.
I got you.
And there was a pretty strong, there was a lot of comments on that post. And a lot of people are at the point where they're just like, how can you not be worried? And that's kind of the same situation with me, with Zach. I'm like, how can you not be at least a little bit worried, even though you have faith and that you believe he can become great? How can you not have just a little bit concerned? Yeah, burnt ice, that's the big, big issue. He's not even practicing. And to me, and this could be wrong, I'm getting Denzel Mims vibes from Becton's situation. Because if you recall, and maybe none of you jerks do remember this, Chad and Mike I'm specifically talking about, remember LaFleur was talking about Becton getting, like he was getting beat in practice, and he was talking about how he had some things he needed to work on, and then Becton was interviewed about it and said, I don't really know what he's talking about. Like, maybe he's not coachable. Maybe there's something going on. Maybe he's causing a stink behind the scenes. I don't know if that's happening, and I hope it isn't. But
yeah,
I'm getting vibes.
Somebody on the media relations staff pulled him aside after he made that comment. He was like, "Yeah, you can't say that stuff."
Yeah, for
He
sure.
never said anything like that again.
So yeah, that's where we are at with Mr. Becton. Straight 100 Jets. He says the Jets need to get Becton a 24/7 personal trainer and nutritionist, and find out how bad he wants to play in the NFL. I don't know. I actually am not sure. I know this is like a common thing, but I'm not sure if his weight is the problem. Kind of like Mims' problem wasn't necessarily that, he was like, he had lost weight or whatever. They said he had like the stomach flu or whatever. I don't know. I think that was just some excuses. Like, I just don't know what's going on. I feel like this is one of those situations where it just seems like something is not quite right. And I don't know if it's because of his weight. Maybe that is the issue. Maybe the Jets are like, you cannot get on the field until you're 350 or under. He doesn't look bigger than what he's ever been, though, if that makes any sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, they showed a picture or a video of him at practice. To me, he doesn't look like he's ballooned or anything like that. But maybe the coaching staff has put their foot down firm, kind of like with the Mims thing where they were like, you don't know all the wide receiver positions in the offense, so you can't get on the field. maybe this is a similar thing where they're like, you may not play on this team unless you are 350 or less. I would love to hear what you guys have to say in the chat. Mike, what are your thoughts on that? Are they... Because again, if he's healthy and he's running around in practice, he's not practicing, he's not playing, maybe they are putting their foot down. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, this is very, very similar to the Zion Williams situation, where Zion, I mean, different sports, kind of pivoting here, but Zion Williams, they say, is tipping the scales at 330 pounds due to his injury and surgery on his foot. So you're talking about, Zion. I think Zion was playing at like high twos. I don't know exactly. Don't quote me on that. But what they jumped in the NBA, they actually publicized, what they were doing with him behind the scenes to get his weight down. A trainer. He never had I don't know why. He never had a personal trainer, which doesn't make a lot of sense in the NBA. But anyway, long story short, I think what concerns me about the situation is Jets, the franchise seems to have concerns about it based on the rumors that Chad and you talked about. We have concerns, but yet no one's doing anything. Becton's not doing anything, at least that we know of. I mean, I could be totally wrong. This is just assumptions. He's not doing anything. Front office isn't doing anything. And that's the most concerning thing. It isn't necessarily that the ship can't be righted, but at least in Zion's case in the NBA, they're publicizing what they are doing, and they're recognizing the fact that it is an issue, that he cannot play. He can't jump up and down at 330 pounds on those feet and those knees. Here, the Jets seem to be recognized as a problem, but no one's saying anything. And I think that's why I think the suspicions and the fears you have are real and should be kind of talked about, because the situation's got to be rectified, and no one seems to be taking the bull by the horns, both Becton himself as well as the franchise.
Yeah, he's not practicing, and it seems like he could be if they wanted him to. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe they're just saying, you know what, big guy, just rest up. We're not going to play you this year. But if they weren't going to do that, they would have already thrown him on IR.
Right.
I think there's something going on. I really do. I think there's something going on. I have a feeling that it might be something that they're expecting from him that he is not doing or that he's not meeting. So Edward Stewart says, maybe you are right on the 350 thing. It's just a random number that I pulled out of my hat. It could be 355. It could be less than 360. I don't know, man, but I don't know.
Here's a question for you and Chad. Do you feel that this front office or the Jets in general are more secretive or more clandestine than what we've seen out of the team in the past? Let's just take the Rex Ryan generation, the Herman Edwards generation. Do you feel like this particular team is more sensitive, more secretive? In which case, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I think it is, without a doubt. I felt like the transparency within the team and even the negative was much more known. At least I felt like it. Now, that could be because Rex was such a personality. Herman Edwards at times can be really real. I can think back to when Herman Edwards would be in the press room and he would get real with the reporter. Like, he was a player's coach, but he would say it. So I don't know. I do think that this team, I feel like we're somewhat in the dark a little bit more, which concerns me a bit. But that's a question I'm going to need to ask since I haven't been back with you guys for a little bit.
I think that's a great question because we saw this thing with Elijah Moore where he was just day to day and then all of a sudden IR.
Yeah.
Same thing with a couple of other injuries too. Like, we've just been left kind of wondering, which is fine. I hear what you're saying, Mike. Chad, why don't you comment on that, on the potential that they are holding their cards a little bit closer to their sleeve?
Yeah, I think that's not just them. I think that's the way the NFL is going. I mean, look at what look what happened to us last week. It was Saturday night before we found out that Gardner Minshew was starting. I mean, it's not in any advantage of the front office for the Jets to give away information. They're aware of that. And that's why they do that. I mean, these guys are trained. They have media relations staffs that train them full time to not give specific information. We were joking about that press conference that LaFleur had over the summer where he politely kind of trashed Becton, but he never did that again, and that's the reason why. You just don't give away that information. It is frustrating from a fan perspective. I remember AVT was on, not IR because it wasn't the season yet, but back in the summertime, he didn't practice for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Great. Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like we were like, what's happening? Well,
right.
They knew what's happening, and we don't need to know. Well, we feel like we need to know, but they feel like we don't need to know, and they don't tell us, and that's just kind of the way of the NFL right now.
Yeah. I felt like, and I could be totally off because then, it could be the stuff that I just wasn't following on the forums and, social media back then, which was, I think the most secretive thing I remember since 2010 was the state of Revis's contract. That's probably the most secretive thing I can go back and think of that I remember feeling like, are we going to start the season with him? And of course, I was watching Hard Knocks for any bit of information I could see, but this definitely takes the cake as far. And you could be totally right, Chad. This could just be the wave of the NFL and sports in general, but definitely makes it very different for the fan base, especially when we're especially for podcasts and streamers and everything like that, when we're trying to piece together optimism or negativity. It definitely brings a new variable to it. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And the Eagles just last week, they were like, Jalen Hurts himself was like, yeah, I'm totally going to play. I'm going to play. The Eagles were like, I'm not sure. We're going to wait and see how he looks in practice. And they did not play him. And I think that, like Chad said, they knew all along probably that he was not playing. And I'm sure they told Jalen, like, hey, flap your gums a little bit, talk about how you're playing, and it's not a big deal. And then it creates this confusion for the other teams. And that's really what you want. You want there to be a cloud on these other teams to not know what's coming next or what's going on. I personally don't mind it, and I don't really see it as a problem. But my thing is that because there's nothing going on with Becton, to me it says something's going on. We're not hearing anything because there is something going on. And again, if he were injured badly enough to not be playing, I think they would have already pulled the plug, kind of like what we saw with Elijah Moore, Michael Carter. They just shut him down. With Becton, he's not been shut down. He has been sitting there and not playing. So there's a debate right now going on about, weapons, and people are talking about the Chargers and the Bengals and the weapons that they've accrued over the years for their quarterbacks. Justin Herbert has Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. He had the tight end that they just lost, Hunter Henry. They have Austin Eckler. So a myriad of weapons for the Chargers. Joe Burrow is just absolutely spoiled with weapons. Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd. He has T. Higgins, Joe Mixon. I mean, they are just loaded with veteran and young playmakers on the team. So when you look at the Jets currently, we thought we had that in Corey Davis, that veteran who's done it before. He's never been dominant, but he's a good, solid football player, and I still think he can be that. Elijah Moore was supposed to be that explosive wide receiver that we drafted. But after that, it gets really, really muddy to me. And I do hear what you're saying, Jets gang. And he said it in here. He said that the Jets wide receiver room ain't better than the Chargers or the Bengals. There's no doubt about it. And those two teams do have two young quarterbacks. Chad, what do you think on that topic? I know and I'm not telling you to think differently, but what are your thoughts on that in regards to offensive line? Because the Bengals, they caught a shit ton of flack for not drafting Penei Sewell. They took Jamar Chase. Just tell me what your thoughts are on that in regards to the weapons and clearly it needing to be improved in different ways.
Well, the good news is, and we can say this with all sincerity, whether they add weapons for Zach or they improve the line or they go defense or whatever, you can make an argument that whoever they pick is going to be a pick based on need. They're going to need somebody. Like, you know what I mean? We're going to need whoever it is that we pick because there's so many needs on this team. So whether they go whether they go right guard, center, right tackle, edge, linebacker, safety, wide receiver, we need all of the above, right? So with the first 4 of the 6 picks, it's going to be necessary. So I'm going to be grateful with whoever we get, because even that, and really before all that, we're going to have to talk free agency. So I think a lot of or at least some of our holes are going to be filled in free agency.
What do you think, Mike, about the wide receiver room compared to other teams with young quarterbacks? Just your overall thoughts on what should be done, or what needs to be done, or what isn't needed to be done.
Well, I guess I mean, I think Chad really hit on all my points. I just think that, I don't know. I'm going to be going into this offseason. I'm really looking forward to the offseason in this channel. Obviously, the channel started in the offseason, and I think that's it's going to be, John, it's going to be really interesting to go back and now with the channel going into its first year birthday, I guess we got to figure out what that is. What is the channel's birthday day? I guess that might be an event day for you.
It's coming soon. It's coming soon.
But I think it would really be interesting for the three of us, and of course with James and other streamers that you've collaborated with, like to really think about how do we go into the offseason. Will we be as optimistic, or do we go in, or will we establish certain concerns earlier next offseason, like the wide receiver core, like the tight end position, because we have had this experience that we've had with the team, this current generation. I feel like we're in like a new era when it comes to this team, right? We have new head coaches. We have obviously new talent on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. So I think this offseason to me will probably be one of the ones that I remember the most, because I think for myself, I think I'm going to be cementing certain positions earlier than what I did for the last offseason. Now, I also think I've kind of probably taken an evolutionary step as a fan, because I've actually been following college football more, and I'm really trying to invest.
What are you, a
myself.
Pokemon? You've evolved?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in phase 3. I can't think of a Pokemon off my head. But no, I definitely think this will be really interesting. So, I think Chad's hit a lot of points, but I guess where I'm going with it is, I definitely think you'll see fans really vocalize earlier this season than last season, and that's just for me saying I think we'll know whether we like the decisions that are being made or not. But yeah, I don't want to add that just for the fact that I think Chad's right, and I'll be interested to see where the team goes with that.
All right, a little small commercial break here. If you have not hit the like button already, please consider doing that. And if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Straight 100 Jets, he says, there is no accountability with Saleh. Do you think Belichick or Parcells would have put up with being one of the worst Ds in history? Ulbrich has to go, and it's cowardly of Saleh using him as a fall guy. We'll see, man. I don't even know. Will they fire him? I guess they might, because if the defense is the worst in our team's history, it's hard to argue with it. There's certainly been issues with the defensive scheme and like the play calling. So I'm not going to make excuses for Ulbrich. The only thing I will say is that the players, the personnel, it's not good enough to create turnovers. It's a very simple system that they're implementing. It's a get after the quarterback with your front defensive line and let the guys behind cover and react and play instinctively and use their speed and their abilities. And our guys just aren't adjusting to the scheme all that well. And I think that the transition from a 3-4 to a 4-3 defense cannot be understated. Fadakasi, Quinnen Williams, these guys have never played in a 4-3 scheme in the NFL before. And so it matters, and I think that there is a ton of learning that needs to be taking place with our defensive line in that regard. And then, of course, just our overall talent on defense. It's not good enough, man. We're not creating turnovers. Bad defenses don't create turnovers. So could scheme be part of it and coaching? Absolutely. And that's why I won't rule it out. But for me personally, I would like to see him back next year. The one positive I will say, though, is if they fire Ulbrich, the defense isn't going to change. They're going to run the exact same scheme. They're not going to change it up at all. It's not a scheme issue. It's more so a personnel issue in my mind, and that's why I'm not going to leave him at any point. Alrighty. Let's see here. There's some discussion about trading back. I don't see why you wouldn't be in favor of that. The team is still so many holes. I don't see how you could not be in favor of that. Oh. Mr. Magic's good to see you in the chat. He says, I'm all for trading back. Too many unanswered questions still. And trade up with the 5th and the 6th round picks. That's what getting a lot of draft picks does for you. Gives you a lot of wiggle room. You can move up. You can move down. Gives you all that flexibility. All right. Let's go ahead and we'll start talking a little bit about Miami. We don't have to stay on that topic long. And then we can kind of put a bow on the show here. We'll go to you, Mikey, first. We play in Miami, and I want to get this correct. I don't want to say it wrong, but Miami's been playing better football lately. I need to look up their exact record, but the last time I looked, they were 6-7. I don't think they had a game today. Were they on a bye week, or am I thinking of the Patriots?
No, I think they were on a bye.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are, I believe, 6-7. And they've won a bunch of games in a row. They're kind of like the football team in that regard. They started the season really poorly and have started to rebound now. What are your guys' thoughts going into that football game? Can we win that game? Got Tommy screaming for Wednesday nights. Don't you worry, Tommy. Wednesday night's coming back as soon as we finish the Week 17 game versus the Buffalo Bills. Sorry, Week 18 game. My apologies. So Wednesdays are coming back, and they're going to be here for months and months and months and months and months. All right, Mike, you're first. Miami, Jets in Miami. What are your thoughts?
I think you hit it earlier in a point where I don't know if we win another game. I think the only game I'm hoping for is the Jags, which is the following week. I think Jalen Waddle is going to tear us to pieces. That's what I think is really going to happen. And if it's not Jalen, it's going to be the other wide receiver talent that they got. Quarterback wise, they pick up pace. Miami, each week. I don't think it looks good for us, knowing that our defense tends to be one of the weakest parts of our game. I think, I mean, it's really going to for us to win that game. It's really going to be the defense really needs to lead by example, even to the point where it's carrying the offense on its back, which would be turnovers, which would be defensive points. That to me is really what's going to take. Not in the case where I feel like I'm making Miami to be a powerhouse, but
no, I got you. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I just think that team has been really good. That offense on that team has been good at picking defenses apart, and our defense is just vulnerable. It's like an Olympic gazelle. So I think it's gonna be a rough Sunday, which I feel bad for Chad. I hope we get a Jet win. Chad, you're going down there. Super jealous, but I don't know. It looks tough.
I will say Miami right now at this time of year, pretty nice. Chad, what are your thoughts on this game? I know you're going to the game, so you're biased here. You're going to say they're going to win. But let me hear what you have to say. What are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I'd like to say that they're going to win just because I'm going to be there. And, I'm hoping. I've never been to a game in Miami, so I found like a Jet fan South Florida meetup like the night before. So I'm just hoping that the party's going to be good and we're going to have a good time down there. But no, I mean, realistically, I don't, I'd love to come out of there with a win. That would be awesome. I don't see that happening unless Michael Carter comes back next week and
can he?
I think he can. I think he was originally predicted for 3 weeks. So it's possible that Michael Carter could come back next week, and I think that could make a huge difference. But I mean, we already know no Elijah Moore. So if I had to make a prediction, I don't think that we're gonna win, but God, I would love to see it.
All right, there you go. And I'll just be blunt about it. We are not winning that football game. Their defense, although not like they're not world beaters by any means, but I think that they have pretty good cover guys in the back end, and they are playing pretty decently on defense. I don't see it as a favorable matchup for our offense. Elijah Moore is going to be out. He ain't playing. Corey Davis is going to still be out. He ain't playing. So we're still going into this game with the same wide receivers that we were all going like, damn, this is kind of a concern. Denzel Mims is going to be playing. Mr. Back-to-back penalties and, not really doing anything other than, causing or creating mental mistakes for the team. So Mims will be back out there. Braxton Berrios. I like Braxton Berrios. I have to eat my words on Braxton. He's been doing really nicely, and I think they need to re-sign him just on the idea that he should be a special teamer on this team and an ace special teamer at that. He's a really, really good returner. Jamison Crowder will play. They have not used him very much this year. Have you noticed that? Or maybe they're trying to and they're just not, getting a connection going. He has not been involved very much. Keelan Cole, he had a couple of drops today. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say other than we're going to struggle offensively again. I'll just say that. Michael Carter being back would definitely be a boost for our running game and for our, the pass protection. He's probably our best running back, right? Like we could all agree on that one. He's the best running back on the team. Sure. And I'm talking about overall, not just with running the football, receiving it, blocking, running, making plays with the ball in his hands, making guys miss. So getting him back would be huge. Our defense versus their offense, I don't think that they have necessarily a great running game, and that's kind of where we're really stinking up the joint right now, as we just let up another 200 yards to a team. So if you're going to point to anything, you could say, Miami's not really like a destructive running football club. So we have that going for us. I do not like our chances in the game, though. Right now, off the top of my head, I'm going to say 27-14 Dolphins. I think they're going to win. Alrighty, a couple more comments, and then we're going to put that bow on the show. Jets Gang, he says, Sauce Gardner is my cornerback one. I think a lot of people like Sauce. The name's fantastic. I love Sunday Sauce. I love sauce on everything. I like sauce on my Sundays. What's not to like sauce on your football team? So you guys should consider a first draft night special. Just saying. Technically, we did that. We did that, DSNY. We will do it. I can't imagine why we wouldn't do it again. We love the draft. We might do it virtually, but I don't know. We'll see. Definitely going to do a draft. And just talk about about the draft itself. The off season is going to get going as soon as the season's over, and that's when we're going to really start doing this. I know that other Jets content creators out there, they've already kind of put out like a really early mock draft, and that's cool, and there's nothing wrong with that. But personally, I would really rather focus just discussing the team, and then once the season's over, there's a long off season, and there's plenty of time to talk about all these draft prospects. So we'll get into all of that stuff, man. All right, let's see here. A couple more comments. Always a good game with Miami. The last one was pretty close, if I remember correctly, right? We were in the game and we didn't end up winning it.
Yeah, we've been in a couple of the games, and we've had, what we're referring to as winnable games. At least we're still like somewhat in the games, but it doesn't matter because we're not winning.
Yeah. Snoopy says, Lawrence looks so bad today, worse than Zach has ever looked. I can't go there. Lawrence was terrible today, of course. But we can't say that Zach has not looked that badly. He had a 4-interception game versus the Pats earlier in the season. But not trying to pick an argument with you. Lawrence really stunk the joint up today. So we'll go to a couple more comments. Burnt Dice says, I have a strange feeling Becton's going to get traded along with Mims. Holy God. Please, no. Just no. I can't do this. Oh, this team. I just can't. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming and watching and hanging out with us, talking Jets. Feel free to call and leave me a voicemail for the shows and for the videos. I am going to be putting out a video or two this week. I put out 2 last week, so I was super proud of myself. The number is 347-921-1468. You can check the details. The description of this stream also includes it. Any final words from you, Mike? What do you got for me? Anything?
No, I'll just say I'll be the voice of optimism, and that's we'll make it through the season, and at the very least, we get to reflect and hopefully collectively look at lessons learned for next year, and hopefully make the right choices. So I don't have high hopes for the next few games, but I am looking forward to talking to everyone in the off season, and that I can take as a W for today. So there's that.
Appreciate that. Chad, you got anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I won't be on next week, so let me take this opportunity to say Merry Christmas, everybody, to everyone and your families. Happy New Year.
There you go. All right, we will see you guys next Sunday. You'll see me in a video or 2 this week, hopefully. Hope you guys check it out. Go Jets. See you guys next time. Word from my daughter. Peace, y'all.